Out of the ashes rises a young boy who is out tending the sheep while the chief prophet is having a conversation with his father. He's nowhere in sight. Brother passed, brother passed, brother passed, brother. They all fail inspection. And God has to force Samuel to recognize that God doesn't look at the exterior as man does, but God looks at the heart. Samuel is looking for one named David, who we will soon learn is a man who's after God's own heart. But he is a man after all. And we read about his triumphs, but we also read about his struggles. Struggles that some mock, struggles that some shun. Nevertheless, they are his struggles. And they ultimately make him the man he is supposed to become. A leader of men, a leader of a nation, a leader of men, women, and children, who is willing to stand up and fight for what he believes in. But his start is not as glamorous as his finish. And in life, that's like most of us. Some of us started, some of us come from humble beginnings, not knowing truly if we really want to make it. We had the faith in the possibility, but we weren't really sure that we would actually make it. So like David, some of us put our heads down and went to work each and every day, being obedient to a loving Father, continuing to work and work and work and keep our hands busy and our feet busy and our eyes busy on the task. Because see, the task was going to fulfill the promise that Saul couldn't fulfill. In this moment, Samuel is mourning for Saul, and God has rejected him. And being the man who initially selected him, there is degradation, there is fear, there is torment, there is treachery in walking away from that which you selected, only to have the chief planner reject your selection. And as he journeys to this home, he is still uncertain if he will find the man he is supposed to be looking for. Not knowing that the whole time the man was looking for him because he was doing his business. And the book says, "Seest thou a man diligent in his business, and he shall stand before kings and not mean men." David is diligent in his business. And the prophet comes true because ultimately he stands before the king whose position he will be usurping. But he does not rush. He takes his time. And he serves him. He honors him. Fights for a kingdom that will one day be his. But before he ever gains a hold to it, he fights for it. Even the challenge he issues to Goliath, he's in a moment where he is a boy and all the men stand and watch him. Saul tries to provide armor to him and he says, "Hey, I can't do this the way that you did it. I can't approach this the way that you approach it. Your strength is not my strength." So one nugget that we grab from the story is those things that you learned as a child, that thing that makes your heart tingle, that thing that gives you goosebumps, the thing that motivates you and inspires you. You have to use what you have because you are good enough. See, David doesn't recognize that he's rejecting the same man that God would ultimately reject. He's just obedient. But he's not willing to compromise his own self for an armor that belongs to someone who ultimately isn't on his level. So I say to you today, use the tools, the skills, and the abilities that you have. Because you may not be there yet, but you're on your journey. Never allow anyone to deter you because you're on your journey. You started out cleaning, fending, protecting sheep, but you were faithful. So when the opportunity presents itself for you to become rulers over many, no one can put their mouth on you because guess what? You did the work. When the men stood around watching, you stepped up to the challenge and you did the work. When the king was afraid, you did the work. When the manager couldn't figure it out, guess what? You did the work. So always remember, the things that you learned, the tools that you have in this situation, they very well may be good enough. I know you shun them. I know people tell you that you're too country, that you don't know enough, that you're not experienced enough. But guess what? Neither was David. And he found himself being the face of a nation through patience and through perseverance. So I say to you on this day, friends, if it is to be, it's up to me. But if you put your mind to it and you put your effort to it, and you put your focus in it, I truly believe that you can accomplish anything. This is your friend, the community elder, Robert Tate, and I love you.